Another one of my favorites, love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? And so we say good morning to our Facebook family that is joining us either live now or will be viewing this service at a later date. I was putting together some statistics for our board. We're having a meeting this afternoon. One of the things that we've been doing is tracking our Facebook response. And I tracked the number of views that we had from during the month of October up to Friday, up to Friday the 19th. And we've had over 620 views on Facebook. So our message is getting out there. The message is getting out there. And so those of you who are active on Facebook, I invite you to share the Sunday message to your Facebook page. Let's expand this consciousness. Let's expand this awareness. This morning, we're continuing with our theme for the month, Breathe in the View, and we celebrate the triumphant journey. We pause this morning remembering the truth that we're all children of God. And we acknowledge an event that occurred yesterday, Saturday, November the 20th, and that was the 23rd annual Transgender Day of Remembrance, TODR. This is a day that is set aside to honor the lives of transgender and non-binary individuals who have been murdered as a result of anti-trans violence. Remembering we're all children of God. TDR was started in 1999 by trans advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith to honor Rita Hester, a Black trans woman who was murdered in November of 1998. Raising the awareness is unfortunately more than ever relevant today. And so to offer a little context for today's topic, we celebrate, we appreciate, and we demonstrate the growth within our own inner growth as we move forward along the sacred continuum that is called life. And I have a little story that I came about that I thought was rather cute. And it's from kindergarten, so I give you the setting, this so that you know where it's from kindergarten. So the teacher had put together a show and tell day. And for show and tell, the assignment was to bring something that represented their religion. And so the first child that got up in front of the class said, "My name is Benjamin. I'm Jewish, and this is the Star of David." This is what represented his religion. The second child that got up in front of the class said, "My name is Mary. I'm Catholic, and this is a crucifix," which represented her religion. The third child got up in front of the class and said, "My name is Tommy. I'm Baptist. This is a casserole," which represented his religion. And it reminded me of an expression we have in religious science, and that is, where two or more gather, we eat. And so in our laughter and in our lightheartedness, we recognize two of the principles from our Science of Mind teaching, and that is freedom and heaven. Freedom is the birthright of every individual. We are free to choose and create the life experiences that we live. And heaven is that state of awareness of our true nature. And we experience this true nature to the degree that we become conscious of it. Honoring the true nature of every individual, we celebrate each individual's unique expression of this life experience. And Ernest Holmes writes in our textbook, in the section from the teachings of Jesus, that that when we constructively praise and creatively bless, life abounds with love and peace and joy. And so let us so live and think that we may retire at night in peace, knowing that no harm can come to the soul, that we may arise in the morning renewed in body and mind and spirit, with a brighter outlook, a happier expectation, and a clearer joy. The reminder is in everything to give thanks. And so let's look at some illustrations or an expanded view of this. The first one is to appreciate. In the Science of Mind textbook, the section headed Constant Prayer, we read this: gratitude is one of the chief graces of human existence, and it is crowned in heaven with a consciousness of unity. And we remember our definition of heaven, and that is the awareness of our true nature and each individual's true nature as a unique expression of spirit. And so I pause here and reflect on an elephant that is probably in our hearts and in the rooms of consciousness of many of us throughout our country. The news media has been filled with the outcome of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and many declarations of its fairness or unfairness. Emotions are running high along with futuristic expectations or speculation of what the outcome of the trial may lead to. Last week, I talked about weapons of mass destruction. And the reactions to the outcome of this trial are examples of what leads to the further polarization of our country, these weapons of mass distraction. Now, as I have observed, there's probably something brewing now that will come along and will override this case, something else that will bombard us and take our attention away from the reality of who we are as expressions of the divine. And so you may ask, what can I do? As people of faith, we're to be present, to be open, to be loving to and for each other, remembering that we're all children of God. This life journey has brought growth, expansion, evolution, and new understanding. And in times of darkness and in times of light, we can still anchor in our unity with Spirit by practicing gratitude. Simple grace, practicing gratitude. Gratitude is powerful. We feel and we know that our journey is a continuum. Gratitude cultivates faith, and faith aligns us with knowing that this too is God, and this too is good. And secondly, as we expand our view and continue the triumphant journey, we're called to celebrate. We laugh, we honor, we dance with Spirit because we know and remember that we are one. Oneness reminds us that we are unique, individualized manifestations of God. We are what some call star stuff. We are love, we are power, we are peace, and we are joy. And I offer this example of celebration. I saw this article, it was a story that appeared in the New York Times, and it's about the Riverside School for the Deaf in Riverside, California. Some of you who are sports fans may have seen this article. After a long string of losing seasons, the Riverside School for the Deaf Cubs football team was undefeated, and for the first time in the school's history, they were vying for a division championship. The school superintendent, through a sign language interpreter, said that the team's coach, Keith Adams, his blood runs pigskin. So he's very committed to the game. The Cubs pummeled their opponents in the second round of playoffs, winning their division championship. And this lifted the spirits of the people in this community that had been hard hit by the coronavirus. The players and their coaches were invited to attend the NFL game between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Minnesota Vikings, where the stadium announcers celebrated the Cubs' victories. Dressed in their red jerseys, they watched their faces show up on the enormous video band, and friends text them to say how excited they were to have seen them on television and congratulating them for their win. The superintendent added, "There are many explanations for why the team is doing so well this year. This particular cohort of players is very talented, swift, and disciplined. They play hard. They are comfortable and confident together as a deaf team with deaf coaches. It is their world on their terms. When they were younger and played in hearing leagues, they were often put at nose tackle. And for those of you who are football fans may know the meaning of this, and someone can share it with me afterwards. I apologize for not looking it up. But they were placed at nose tackle, which required less communication. Now they play whatever position they are best suited for. They have a special bond, a chemistry, and they're able to relate to each other." And the superintendent further added, "At Riverside campus, the deaf students who transferred from mainstream institutions blossom. Their communication barrier is eliminated, and there is inclusion and social interaction." That little story really lifted my spirits because an example of being in your own element where there is a feeling of inclusion, where there is a bonding that takes place together. And we create those environments within our groupings wherever we find ourselves. And our third example this morning of breathing in the view is to demonstrate the growth. With gratitude and joy, our compass, with gratitude and joy as our compass, we gracefully navigate the flow of life. We live in seasons of possibility and purpose. Possibility and purpose. We listen for the whisper of the infinite invisible. It calls from within, and we heed its song. And this is one of the aspects, one of the outcomes of our practicing gratitude during this time of the year, with our gratitude demonstrations that we have been practicing and with the 40-day prosperity plan. It is that opportunity to listen to the infinite invisible that calls from within, and then we heed its song. Demonstrating growth also includes divine discontent, and this is an inner urging that calls us forth to the next growth opportunity. We're never stagnant. We have a welcoming and loving guide, and that is the spirit within. With the realization of our innate gifts and the divine identities that we are fully aware of, we celebrate the glorious aspects of this life's journey. And so as we continue our celebration, this leads us to our call to action. Remember, we are always one decision away from a totally different life experience. We're always one decision away from a totally different life experience. We're invited to hold a new awareness of ourselves, always remembering that we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in a spiritual world which operates according to spiritual laws that invite us to be willing to let gratitude, joy, and a vision of what is possible to be the tools that we choose to use for transformation. To be willing to keep tilling the soil, to keep nurturing consciousness, to experience more of our own magnificence. and to be willing to live our values and beliefs out loud so that we actually do create a world that works for everyone exactly where they are. And each week I offer to you questions for discussion or reflection or journaling. And I've asked our tech team to put these questions in the chat for our Zoom family and into the comments section for our Facebook community. And our first question today is, how do I experience and feel my connection with something greater? How do I experience and feel my connection with something greater? Question 2. What are some ways I can practice choosing my thoughts, reactions, and experiences? What are some ways I can choose to practice my thoughts, reactions, and experiences? And question 3. How willing am I to consistently and persistently practice self-awareness and gratitude? How willing am I to consistently and persistently practice self-awareness and gratitude? And our affirmation for this week is, today, I live as the power, joy, and magnificence of God in dynamic demonstration. And I invite you to say this with me. Today I live as power, joy, and the magnificence of God in dynamic demonstration. And so let us turn within and pray together. In this divine moment, celebrating freedom and celebrating heaven, I know that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life. That life is perfect. And it is happening in all of its various ways that it shows up. Those that are visible and those that are invisible. In the life and in the lives of everything. The songwriter once penned these words that said, "Let everything that has breath praise the Lord." And so as we praise and raise the spirit of love and this consciousness intelligence that is within each and every one of us, we expand our view and our horizon becomes even more illuminated as we journey along this path called life. Recognizing that in those valley experiences, it is a time to also celebrate, to go within and to be still, and to listen where guidance is directing us and taking us. And know that we do not come to the valley to stay. We only pass through. We may pause for a moment, depending on the circumstances in our life, and yet we do not pause and buy real estate in the valley. We continue our journey in spiral upward. Ernest Holmes reminds us that the spiral of life is upward. And so in this upward journey, we appreciate and we give thanks for all of the demonstrations that show up in our lives. And so I speak my word of blessing this morning for each one, wherever they find themselves along this life journey, knowing that this is the place where right now I have the opportunity to be still, to go within and listen to the voice of wisdom, the voice of inner guidance. That inner guidance that says the diagnosis that has been delivered is not the truth of who you are. It is only someone else's opinion. And while the diagnosis may be real in terms of a physical aspect, I am knowing and giving thanks for the miracle of modern medicine and the various practices and traditions of shamanic medicine, alternative medicines, various healing modalities. I know that all of those are available, and the universe is pulling together all of the resources that are required for healing and wholeness. It is our job to remember to pause and to be still, and to bless that which is within, asking it for the lesson that it has come to show us, and then take the learning from that lesson as we expand our view and rise to higher heights in consciousness. I speak my word of blessing for right livelihood in all areas of life, right housing, right employment, right income, right possibilities, the right relationships, the right partnerships, the right friendships, everything that the heart desires that is for the upliftment and fulfillment of the soul's journey on earth. It is being delivered right here and right now. And all that is required is that we pause, we embrace it, we acknowledge it, we accept it, and we give thanks. In everything, give thanks. And so for this time together, for this word that has been spoken, I give thanks. And I release this back into the activity of law, which always says yes, allowing it to be so. And I invite you to affirm this with me as we say together, and so it is. And this is now our time to participate in the sharing of our financial abundance. And I give thanks, continually give thanks for the ways that you support the spiritual community through your time, your talent, and your treasure. And let us say our abundance statement together. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. I release this visible substance as an outer symbol of my inner supply into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And to experience the law of circulation, there are ways to donate to our center. And these are on the screen for our Zoom family and for our Facebook family. You may mail in a check, and the address is on the screen. You may contribute to our secure website, and you may also text to give. And all of that information is on the screen. And for those of you who are here in the sanctuary, we have our giving container that is on our gratitude table where Richard is standing. And so you may place your donations there at any time during the service or at the end of service. And so we say thank you to our Facebook family that has joined us this morning. And we invite you to return next week or whenever it is that you're viewing, where we will continue with our monthly theme, Breathe in Gratitude. Breathing in the View is our monthly theme, Breathing in the View. And our message next week is Gratitude Beyond Gifts. Also, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving Day with a Thanksgiving gratitude service on Thursday, Thanksgiving morning at 10:30. And we will be live in the sanctuary as well as in Zoom. So we invite you all to tune in and celebrate with us on Thanksgiving morning as we share the abundance that has shown up in our lives. And so we say thank you and good morning. We love you and God bless you.